I'm going to show you how to create the easiest and quickest envelope journal I've ever made. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking for a simple project, this one is perfect. We'll start by coffee dyeing envelopes, then glue them together, add a blank signature, and finish with a fun closure. It's quick, easy, and beautiful. This is a design team project for the Digital Collage Club. Welcome, it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. So we need 4 envelopes that are the same size, and it's easiest if you use some that have these triangular flaps. Let me give you the measurements of these. I got these from Amazon, and these are approximately 16 centimeters or 6.5 inches by 22.8 centimeters or 9 inches. And the first thing I'm going to do, this is optional. I like mine to be coffee dyed. I just made myself a fresh batch of coffee with instant coffee. I always get the cheapest one I can find in this amount of water, which is about 700 milliliters. I added 2 heaped tablespoons of coffee, and I'm just going to use this wide foam brush. I think this is the quickest method to coffee dye papers, and then just go over them. I feel that by brushing the coffee over them rather than soaking them in the coffee, they don't get completely saturated, meaning they dry faster. If you have time to dry these overnight, then it doesn't matter. Then you can just soak them in your coffee. So I do these with all 4 and let them dry on my newspaper. So it's a couple of hours later. I have air dried these envelopes, and I have also inked up the edges using Vintage Photo, which I haven't used in a while. I usually would use walnut stain or even ground espresso, but these are fairly light and I didn't want the contrast to be super high. So in comparison, this is what they looked like originally and this is what we have now. So whatever your preference is, you can do that. So now let me show you how we're going to put these together. It is super easy. So we have 2 envelopes. We're going to put the left one into the right one. Just the triangular flap here. Like that. And this here will become our closure. Then we take our 3rd envelope and again put the triangular flap in here, like so. And then we take our 4th and last envelope and put the flap in the left envelope, like so. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. Now we just need to glue them in. And I think the easiest way to do that, I'll have to take these out again, I think. So starting again with the first one. And you could of course also do this with smaller envelopes if you have them. And then if you use digitals like I will, then you just print them out half the size. So you could print 2 on 1 page, then you have exactly 50% of the size and have a cute small journal. So I'm just putting the glue on the edge, my triangular flap, and then insert that. And that is actually super easy. And we do exactly the same thing with the next one. So I'm gluing on the outside of the triangular flap. And lastly, we have this one. So again, I glue the outside and insert it into our left envelope. Just make sure you push it all the way in. And if any glue gets onto the other envelope, like here, you just take a cloth and wipe it off so that it doesn't stay sticky or glossy. So now we want to cover our envelopes to give them some interest. As mentioned in my intro, this is a design team project for the Digital Collage Club. And if you're new here, let me introduce you to this fantastic membership-based site. It's packed with an extensive array of royalty-free digital craft supplies and tutorials. By opting for either a yearly or a lifetime membership, you'll instantly unlock a treasure trove of unique images and resources. Plus, new images are added every week, so you'll always have fresh inspiration. And the best part, you can sell the crafts you create using these images. So there's 2 membership options, a 1-year membership or a lifetime membership. With the lifetime option, a single payment grants you unlimited access to all images and tutorials forever. Check out the video description box below for discount codes, and just so you know, using these links and codes gives me a commission, which greatly supports my small creative business as well. I truly appreciate it if you sign up or have already signed up using my link. Thank you for considering the Digital Collage Club and supporting my creative journey. So I printed 6 pages of the beautiful chinoise journal kit. And these come in US letter size. So when I say print borderless on A4, I will get these 2 white strips on the sides, which is fine. I will just cut those off. And we have this one. This is such a gorgeous kit. I am so in love with it. Love the colors, love the motifs. Absolutely stunning. This one actually I have twice. I meant to print another page. We'll see if it works to use the same page for what I have in mind. And then lastly, this one. The kit has, I'm not sure now, 13, 14 pages, something like that. So I just printed not even half of those. So first I'm going to just cut off the white edges of all of my papers. And I'm also going to cut in the middle here. So I have all of my pages cut out now. And I realized that it's actually great that I have 2 of these pages twice, because now what we can do is for the front here, for example, I'm not sure which one I want. Okay, if we take this one, so we could add 1 page here, and we could add the same one here on the flap to be like a continuous image, although there's not much here. On the flap, we could, of course, add another decoration there. Or if we do it with this one, we would have the bird there. That would be actually really cute. Let's see what that would look like. We can trace. Actually, we need to see where we can place this. So if we center this, then we'd have to line this one up so that it makes sense. So they're exactly on top of each other now. And if I trace my envelope flap, then I can cut a little bit inside of that line. And then we put it there and we open it and we have the same image. Yeah, that's cute. Okay, so I'll ink up all of these edges and then we can glue these parts down already. As always, there's no need to put any glue in the middle of your page. That just wastes glue, first of all, and second of all, it makes your page stiff. And again, if there's any glue that squishes out from underneath, you just take your cloth and rub over it. And next we can glue down the image for the envelope flap. And then for the inside flap here, you could either leave it plain. Actually, that also looks kind of nice. Let's see what it would look like if we would add another one of these images. Yeah, I think that could be cute. So again, let's center this and place it where we want it. And then we trace our envelope shape. And again, we cut a little bit inside of that pencil line. Again, I've inked up the edges. Moving to the inside, we could either just glue these on top and not glue it here where we have the opening. And that way we just have a big pocket like this. So that would look like that. That's one option. I think it's fairly difficult to get something in and out of this if we only have a small gap here. Do you know what I mean? It's definitely doable, but I think I prefer for mine for the print to actually be cut the way the opening is cut. So if we put our paper in the middle, you probably can't see it, but I actually see here where the edge is. I also need to make sure it's centered height-wise. Yeah, like so. And then again, I can just trace the shape of my opening. And again, I will cut a little inside of that line. Yeah, and then we have a large opening here. So that's just a personal preference, what you like. So I'll do the same thing with this one, ink them up, and then we can glue those down as well. On this one, we're going to lose the bird, unfortunately. I could, let's see, is there any other one? Because I could put this on a right side and then maybe find another one that would work well with this one. How about this one? Either that one. Yeah, here we're also cutting that bird off. Don't want to do that. This one might also work. Yeah, let's take that one. So for this one, what we could do is just flip this around, trace our shape, and cut exactly on the line. So we could always use this one for a template for all of the other pages. So for this middle section here, we can obviously just use full pages, and then we need 2 more of these shapes. It's great to use one of these as a template because, for example, now we could see that if we use this one on the right side, we would cut the poor bird's head off. We don't want that. Definitely smarter to trace it on the back side. That way you don't have to worry about erasing any pencil lines on the front. So we have this one here. And we have this one here. Optionally, you could also sew around these papers before you glue them down. That would look great. But in this case, I want to keep this super beginner friendly. I get asked time and time again which printer I use, because obviously some of your printers don't give you the results that you see in my videos. And I just want to mention, it's usually not the printer that is the problem. It's usually a combination of the print settings and, most importantly, the paper that you print on. So I will show you in a moment which paper I use for most of my journal pages. Also these here, because that really makes the biggest difference in the quality of your print. And also for your print settings, if you don't change any of your print settings, if you just print it as it is, like you would print an email or something, you're not going to get a great result. You really need to tell your printer to print best quality instead of the standard print quality. So I don't always use the same paper because usually I cannot get the same paper. At the moment, I'm using this one here. The most important thing is not necessarily the brand, because I know this is a German brand. If you're in Australia or in North America, this might be very hard to get or very expensive. What is important is that it is a matte photo paper. So matte photo paper for inkjet if you have an inkjet printer, or otherwise for a laser printer. This one is 130 GSM, which is a really nice thickness for journal pages. So find a brand that works for you, and if you're going to use it for journal pages and you want to print double-sided, please make sure that your paper is meant for double-sided printing, because for example this one I actually think is only for one side printing, meaning that when you print on the back side you're not going to get the same quality. For something like this, obviously it doesn't matter because I only need one side. So before you go off searching for another printer, please check your settings and try it with different paper. That might be the solution. So next we want to add something to these pockets we have here. So that's why I printed more of these pages. So now we just need to figure out which ones we want where. Actually, I should probably first ink them up. So actually, before I ink these up, I'm not a fan of these bright white back sides, especially in combination now with our beautiful dyed envelopes. Let's do the same thing that we did with the envelopes. So again, I'll take my foam brush. This time I'll really make sure that my foam brush is not dripping. And just go over these. I've actually never done this with the photo paper, so I'm hoping that it doesn't go through to the other side. Actually, it wouldn't be so bad because then that would give them more of a vintage flair as well. But I think it didn't go through at all. Yeah, it actually did. So that's totally fine. It just gives them more. Oh, yeah. Definitely gives them more character. Actually, I like that. So let's try these and let's also do the same with the fourth one then. And since they have more of a vintage feeling now, look how cool we have the coffee spots in the front now. I love that. And this is what the backs look like. Look, doesn't this look like a bird sitting on a branch? I don't know how that happened. I do not have a bird image like that because I thought maybe it came through from somewhere. But none of these pages have that kind of a bird image. So how the heck did that happen? I don't know, but I love it. So what I was saying, now that I have like this vintage vibe to these papers, they're also not totally flat, which I like because it gives them a lot more character, especially if we now compare it to one of the white pages. Look at that. That is a very boring piece of paper, while these already have quite a bit of character now. And to add a little more character, I'm just going to tear the edges a little bit. Look, we even have it here in the digital that they have torn edges. So let's just tear the pages in some places, bend them up a little bit to just add to that grungy vintage look. There she goes again, destroying beautiful papers. You love it, you know it. Just don't be precious. It takes getting used to. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I just love the character that it adds to a paper. Okay, so something like this. And I will ink up the edges and I'll do the same for the other three. So this is what they look like once they're all grunged up. The back sides look like this. Doesn't this have so much more character? So we can stick these into our pockets. And in the middle here, I want to add a signature right here. And I'm going to just use regular coffee dyed paper. This is regular copy paper, 80 GSM. So I will simply fold these in half. So I wanted this envelope journal to have a lot of writing space. So let's just put these one into the other like we would a regular journal signature. And we're going to stitch this in with a super simple 3-hole pamphlet stitch. No measuring, no templates, anything like that. But we can choose whether we want to sew through to the outside here so that we see the stitching on the spine, or whether we want to have our stitching here on this spine, which will then be covered by the envelope flap to have a very clean spine. I think I'll have the flap cover the stitching. I like taking this piece of styrofoam. If I had a bigger piece, I would use that. So I'm just going to poke a hole with my awl or anything pokey that you have. And I'll flip this to the back so that I don't punch through that. Actually, in this case, I think I'm going to do it like this without the styrofoam. Because usually I would just lay it flat and poke through like this. But since I really don't want to poke through this, I want to be a little bit more careful and just hold it like this. Eyeball where the middle is, because it doesn't really matter if it's totally in the middle. And then just punch through. And then make another hole, maybe, I don't know, around 2 inches from either end. 1. You could measure this if it bothers you, if it's not exact, but I really don't mind. Yeah, this looks fairly even to me. Now let's choose a thread that will go with our colors here. Since I don't seem to have any turquoise here, maybe we go for an orange. Oh, that is very bright, which might not be a problem. This is even brighter. You could also do a pink. Ooh, how about this one? I like that one. So let's measure 3 times the height of our journal. That will be more than enough. Actually, 2.5 will be plenty. Let's just secure these with a paper clip to make sure they don't move. Okay, then I'm going to center this here and punch the holes at the same height. That was a very strange way of doing it. I don't know why I did it like that. And maybe you have a better way of doing that, but that was quite easy. So now I'll just go through my middle hole. Leave a tail. Then I go back in the top hole. With this amount of pages, actually, you don't even have to punch holes, I think, in your papers. You could just go right through with your needle. Back out on the bottom. If you've never sewn in your own signatures in a journal, I think this is a great way to start, because it does not get more simple than this. It takes about a minute. So then we come back in the middle again, the same hole. And I'm going to make sure that I come out the other side of our twine here. I can let go of the needle. I make sure that it's nice and tight. And then I can just make a double knot. Double check that it's nice and tight here. And then I just snip these short. Another option is, of course, to leave them long and to have dangles down here. That would be cute as well. Okay, so we have our journal pages for writing. Obviously, we have more writing space on these, both on the fronts and the back sides. We have our stitching here, and we will cover that with our flap. Now, obviously, this is annoying. And by the way, this is the thickness that we have. You could, in theory, add another signature here and another one here. So you could have 3 signatures. I'm happy with the one. So what do we do in front here for the closure? So I have this page left, and I'm wondering if we use this bird here, would he get along with this bird, do you think? We could try that. Let's add him onto a cardstock to make him sturdy. This is one of the rare moments I prefer using glue stick. So let's ink him up. I'm not sure that convinces me. Ultimately, we want to add some sort of a ribbon that's going to go around to keep this flap closed. But of course, I want to add something here on the tip. I'm not sure the bird is the best option, actually. I think I don't like the red. And I also don't like the dimension because he's so cute and small, and he's very big. Another idea would be to take this same paper that we have left over from cutting this part out. That way we know the color will match. Let's mount this onto our cardstock. And then I want to cut some flowers out using this Thinlit set. It's called Small Tattered Florals with the number 661806. Let's see what that will look like. So I inked up some of these shapes, glued them together. So there's 3 different sizes of flower shapes and 2 leaves. And I think this works really well here. So now we need to construct something that we can wrap our twine or whatever we want to wrap around. So let's try the following. I'm going to use this circle punch. If you don't have one, you can take something like a glue stick and trace around that and cut it. I've never done this before, but let's see if this will work. What I have in my mind. I'm punching out 2 of these from sturdy cardstock. We won't see these, so it doesn't matter what color they are. One is going to go here. The other is going to go here. So let's mount these first. Actually, I mount it so that we won't see it from the back side. This one goes here in the center of our cluster. One thing I did not consider is that, of course, we're going to see the back side, so I'm going to ink that up as well. By coincidence, the colors work with the digitals that we have on the other side. That is something to pay attention to. Then I'm going to punch a hole. I'll use the small one here for my crocodile in the middle of our flower. And also in the middle of our circle. And then we'll take a brad. Okay, we're going to cover this up. I have an idea for that. So we have this, and now we can choose a twine or whatever. I have several options here, and it's going to be a very difficult choice. So I'm thinking either we go for a contrast with something fluffy, for example, like pink. Although he's orange here, I'm not sure that's the best choice. I mean, it wouldn't be horrible. I also have this one that has a little more orangey pink in there. That one would be okay. We have a neutral white fluffy one. That would be super cute. That gives it kind of a wintry feeling. And then we also have this fluffy one. tone in tone. We have this one, which would be absolutely gorgeous. So these are called eyelash trim yarns. And lastly, I have this one, which I'm kind of obsessed with because it has a variety of colors which are not the same as in our digital, but they go together so well. I think I'll go for this one. So we tie one end around our flower. So this now goes in between of our two circles. So I'll just tie a double knot with this. Alternatively, you could also just add a button on top and tie something around that. So then I can cut off one end really short. And this one can then wrap around a couple of times. Can go under the flower, maybe 3 times. And then leave a tail. Like that. And I still wanted to cover up that inside because I don't like the look of that. This here is not very pretty. So I use the biggest flower die, the one that I have in the front here as well, with the same digital paper, and I'm just going to glue that on the back side. That will cover up the legs of the brad much better, don't you think? So in no time you have a very cute journal with lots of writing space. I think this also makes a very cute gift for somebody. You could add another digital on the back, of course. So I hope you have fun with this. Love you guys.
Mwah, mwah.